Engineering students, here is a tutorial slash my inner brain workings on how I'm going to go about designing my cams with you. This video might have a lot of mistakes in it, but hopefully we'll find those mistakes and we can correct them as we move on. So, we're going to design our cams. What I've told all my classes to do is we're putting in just roughly a 5-inch, 4-inch follower right now. That would be the rectangular piece that goes in the follower guide. And we can adjust that height based on what we need. So again, just kind of gets us in the ballpark. So here we go. One of my last videos, I attached the top of my Mickey head, or the back of it, to the top of my follower with some pieces I cut out. So here we go. This is where I want Mickey at its lowest possible position. Okay? Yeah, he's a little bit off. I didn't have him go touching the box, but he's pretty close there. I'm going to grab that measurement. Now again, I just moved it to that measurement manually. So I'm going to select the top of my box, and I'm going to select the top of my follower, and I'm getting about 2.128. If I do drop my head just a tiny bit, I have 2 1/8, which is fantastic. So that's what I'm going to say. About 2 1/8, I'm rounding to nice, easy, workable numbers in this case. And I know that if I go down 3/1000ths of an inch to get to that position, that my Mickey head won't hit the top of the box. So I'm good to go. It's very, very small. Remember, that's like a sheet of paper. So remember, inner workings here. This is my brain rattling off things as I design this. So I'm going to take this number, and I'm going to go to my Cam and worksheet, and I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of this. Remember, this can be found on Canvas. So I'm going to call this my Mickey Automata. And I'm going to use the top here, and I'm going to place this somewhere. I'm going to either put this dimension at 0 or 180. So top of the follower from top of the box. Let's say that my cam is at 2.125 at 180 degrees. You can see here it makes a mark on my dash. Great, wonderful. Now, I got to come back here and think about what kind of movement do I want for my cam? Well, if I were to rotate it 180 degrees, I would like this to be pretty far up there. Okay? And again, I wouldn't worry too much about this. We can get to this in a second, but you just want to make sure that follower guide is not hitting the top of the or the bottom of this box. I kind of like where the head is sitting there. You know, I can maybe bring it down so it just comes from the fence. And then I don't really see the follower there too much. So I'm going to measure that. And that is 3.27, 3.25. I'm going to round that too. And I'm going to say that is 0. Okay. So now, and I might switch these as I think here. So at 180 degrees, it's down here. 0 degrees, it's up here. I think I'm going to switch those two numbers. So this will be 2.125, and this will be 3.25. There we go. So now what I want to do is what kind of movement? I want to get from this spot to this spot, from 0 to 80 degrees, in what type of movement? Do I want it to be just a nice linear straight line up? Do I want it to really rapidly shoot up there with a pair cam? What am I thinking? In this case, not really sure. I just kind of grab this and kind of, do I like his head going up? Do I like it a jump up, very quick jump, and a very quick down? Again, not really positive. So I might create some cams. Let's just create a cam. Let's go and make this a nice, easy transition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out some math here. How do we get from here to here with equal intervals in between? All right, so for this math, I'm just going to actually say if I want this to be a nice linear change, then I'm going to just find the slope. If I want to point from here to here, I just want to find the slope of that line, if it was just a straight line going over there. So to do that, I would take the x variable, which in this case, for the y variable, I can do x and y. I'm going to take this number, which would be 3.25. I'm going to minus 2.125. And then I'm going to divide that by the number of spots that I go. So if that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. So to get from this number to this number, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to divide that by 4. And I get a change of 0.28125. So now what I can do is I can take that 0.28125 number, and maybe I'll just put it down here. And I'm going to say this is going to equal this number plus 0.28125. And if I just click this little bottom, it'll just continue to take the number from previous and add 0.28125, and you can see I get a nice little slope there. And then what I need to do is I know that it needs to return back to its position. And then right here, I am going to just pretty much copy what I see as it makes its descent actually down. So this is going to be 2.96875. This will be 2.6875 and 2.40625. Again, these are numbers I came up with, and there is top of the follower, top of the box. Great, wonderful. So now what I need to do is I need to understand how much room I actually have in this case. So I know I have from the center of my box to the top of my box is 2.5 inches. With this number though, I gotta subtract a bunch of things. So one, I gotta subtract half the axle because the center line is right in the middle of the axle, so I know I'm gonna have to take this 2.5 and minus 0.125. Then I know the top here is 3 millimeters, which is 0.118. So I know I'm gonna minus 0.118 now. And then we have this part right here of the roller. So if I open the roller, I can actually take this plane. I'll show you how I did this. I can go plane, and I can select a tangent to surface parallel to plane. So I want to select this bottom, and then select the top, and I'll have a little plane there. And then I can quickly use the measure tool to go from here to here, and that's 313. So now I have to take and minus 0.1944. So right there is the maximum diameter that my cam can be to fit in there. That will make sure everything is like flush and no problem. So I am going to take this and I'm just going to find a nice number down, and that's going to be 1.75. I'm just kind of rounding down a bit to a nice even number, 1.75. That is what the maximum of my cam can be. So now if I go back to here, in this case, I want to find what the radial dimension of my cam is going to be. If I say the radial dimension of my cam is 1.75 at 3.25, if I find the difference between these two, that's what I have throughout everything else. So what I did off camera just now is I knew that the max radial that I wanted was 1.75, and just to make sure there was enough room, in that case 1.75, the difference is 1.5 inches. So I took 1.5 and I subtracted it from every single thing on top, and I got what the radial dimension of my cam will end up being. So now what I can do is with these numbers, I can go back and create this cam inside of Inventor, which I'm going to do off screen. We've done this before. Go back to some of those videos on how to create these numbers. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so I created my cam for the Mickey head, and now before I left, I wanted to show one thing. As I was extruding out my cam here inside my assembly, I made sure it was a symmetric extrusion. Also made it at 6 millimeters. The reason for that is I'm going to put 2 of these cams on my laser engraver sheet, and then I'm going to glue them together. That gives me extra surface area for my roller to actually roll on. It beefens it up a little bit so they're a little bit less wobbly. So make sure that's 6 millimeters, make sure it's symmetric. I'm going to go ahead and return, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cam and I'm going to place it on here. So to do this, I'm going to constrain, and I'm going to go into my origin folder here, and I should have an axis right in the center of my square. Perfect. Then I'm going to make sure that that's lined up with any of these center axes on my axle. I'm going to apply that, and you can see there it's kind of in the right area. Next, I'm going to go constrain, and I want to make sure that one of my faces, in this case, depending on which way my handle is up, I'm going to have this and that. Nope, I don't like that. So what I think I want here is to constrain this top to that inside face. That looks pretty good to me. I'm going to apply. Now, this can still slide left and right. So now what I need to do is I need to line up this cam right in the center of that roller guide so nothing gets lost or moved to the side. So I'm going to go into this roller. I'm just going to click it, and I'm going to open it. And I'm going to go into the origin, and let's see here. I don't have a plane right in the middle, left to right. So I'm going to make one by going to plane, and I'm going to go to mid plane. I'm going to select this side and this side, and now I've got a plane right in the middle. This is going to help us constrain it correctly. I'm going to save this piece and close out of it. I'm going to go into this piece, my Mickey head. I'm going to find the plane right in the center, that one, and I can make that visible. If it doesn't become visible, then we can still use it. It just sometimes is a visual bug and it doesn't show up. So I'm going to go constrain, and I'm going to select that mid plane. Then I'm going to select the mid plane that I just created of my roller. And then what I want to do is, most likely it's going to be flush. You want to double check. I'm going to select flush. If that doesn't work, just try the mate. I'm going to go ahead and hit apply, cancel. Now this shouldn't move left or right, should just move on here. Next, constrain, transition, this face, and my roller. I'll apply there. And now, this is where we might have to come back and edit our follower length. Let's just see how this goes. So, at its lowest point, I'm okay with that. I can make the follower just a bit shorter here to change that if I really, really wanted to. And all the way up at its top piece, I'm pretty okay with that. Again, I can make that follower just a bit shorter, and let's see what happens when that does happen. Let's go into this follower. Let's go into the extrusion. Right now it's about 4 inches. Let's take, let's make this 3.875. Let's take an 1/8 inch off of it. Let's return. And okay, so we do have an error. One of these errors, transitional error, is broken. That's fine. So let's go into our Mickey head here, and let's delete that transitional constraint. Because how I moved it, it no longer was touching. So I'm going to delete that transitional constraint, reapply it, and let's see if I like this a bit more. So it comes down. It's a little bit closer, and all the way up, pretty close to there. Good. I wanted the head to be just a bit behind the fence so I didn't see the follower. That's exactly what I wanted. That's what I edited. I've got 10 seconds left. That's a big video to watch on how to create the cams and the followers. Now your job, do your other cam.